There are moments when silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. You feel something different in the air, a subtle, almost imperceptible intuition, as if the universe were trying to whisper a secret to you. And what if that secret is precisely what you most want to know? That he loves you. That this love exists even when gestures aren't obvious, even when words haven't yet been spoken. The messages are everywhere, but we don't always know how to listen. This is where the soul's ancient wisdom, as interpreted by Carl Jung, comes in. The signs don't come just from him. They come from the unconscious, from synchronicity, from the collective soul. Today, you will learn how to see the invisible. If you believe that true love reveals itself in the subtlest details, comment now. I choose to listen to the universe's signs. Carl Jung believed the human psyche is composed of conscious and unconscious forces that shape our experiences, perceptions, and relationships. When it comes to love and emotional connections, he invites us to go beyond the surface, to observe symbolic signs, unconscious manifestations that arise through synchronicity. In the context of unspoken or silent love, Jung offers a powerful key. The deepest feelings reveal themselves not only through words, but through gestures, repetitions, symbols, and even seemingly casual encounters. For Jung, synchronicity is when external events coincide meaningfully with internal states. So when the universe seems to be telling you something, through songs, messages, dreams, or coincidences, perhaps it's not random at all. Perhaps it's him, loving in silence but speaking through the collective unconscious. That hidden love can be revealed by signs only the awakened can perceive. Another essential concept is projection. Often we project our desires and fears onto someone else, unaware that this mirror can be a bridge between two souls. Jung's central journey of individuation also manifests here. Recognizing true love requires looking inward, integrating our shadow, and accepting both our inner feminine and masculine. In doing so, we become capable of recognizing authentic love because we have first learned to love ourselves. The universe whispers love in languages the soul understands, and Jung teaches us how to decipher them. Many times in life, we sense something beyond logic at work. We meet people repeatedly, hear the same song in different contexts, have dreams that feel like coded messages. Carl Jung called these phenomena synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that connect inner events with outer happenings without an apparent cause and effect. In love's context, especially when feelings remain unspoken, synchronicity can be the heart's silent language. When someone loves us but lacks the courage or clarity to say so, the unconscious starts to work. Jung reminds us the psyche seeks wholeness. Thus, if a strong psychic bond exists between two people, signs begin to manifest like echoes from the soul's invisible field. You think of that person, and they send you a message. You hear a song that perfectly describes how you feel, and when you check your phone, there's their name. These small events are not mere coincidences. They are expressions of the collective unconscious, trying to draw your attention to an emotional truth yet to surface. When true love is repressed or unspoken, it finds symbolic outlets. Jung believed the unconscious communicates through symbols, images, and apparently random events. That is why the universe can become a stage where hidden love slowly reveals itself. The secret lies in being awake to these clues. Synchronicity does not shout, it whispers, and one needs sensitivity to hear it. Moreover, synchronicity serves as an internal confirmation guide. You sense there is something between you, but you're not sure. Then the universe arranges a sequence of events that reinforces your intuition. This isn't magic. It's the unconscious working in harmony with the external. The more connected you are to your inner world, the more you perceive these signs as genuine. It's not superstition, but a deep listening to psychic movements. Another important point is that only those who have begun the individuation process perceive synchronicity. That is, those already aware of their own emotions, shadows, desires, and projections. If you're emotionally numb or disconnected from yourself, these signs go unnoticed. But when you're in tune with your soul, any slight move of the universe can become a revelation. Here, synchronicity becomes an emotional compass. It points the way, confirms feelings, reveals what's gestating in the invisible. In a relationship where love is real but undeclared, the universe acts like a messenger, showing there's something alive there, even if silent. It's up to you to listen, perceive, and interpret. It's important, however, not to fall into forced confirmation. Synchronicity shouldn't be used to escape reality or feed illusions. Jung always warned of the dangers of unconscious fantasy. Therefore, observing signs must be accompanied by a commitment to your inner truth. What do you truly feel? What fears, hopes, and silences do you carry? With honesty toward yourself, synchronicity becomes a crystalline mirror. The universe speaks to those who have ears attuned to the soul. When you sense love but aren't sure, when everything seems uncertain yet profoundly meaningful, pay attention to the signs, because it could be him, it could be love, and it could be the unconscious, with all its wisdom, trying to reveal what the ego can't yet express out loud. The human mind has a fascinating, often unconscious mechanism: projection. Carl Jung described this as the tendency to attribute to others what we fail to recognize or accept in ourselves. When we're emotionally involved with someone, we commonly project our desires, wounds, fears, and even ideals onto them. In the context of silent love, love unspoken, projection can both blind us and unveil deep truths if we learn to observe carefully. When you feel someone loves you but they don't say it, you may be projecting your intense desire to be loved onto them. The beloved becomes a psychic mirror reflecting parts of you that are asleep or fragmented. For example, if you struggle to embrace your vulnerability, you may idealize someone who seems protective and sensitive. If you suppress your creative impulse, you might fall for someone who exudes freedom and authenticity. In this way, the other becomes a living symbol of what you lack internally. But this doesn't always mean love is an illusion. Projection can be the start of a self-knowledge journey. Jung saw romantic encounters as privileged fields for confronting the shadow, what lies hidden within us. What attracts us intensely and inexplicably to another often points to aspects of ourselves crying out for integration. When you feel the universe is signaling he loves you, part of that may be your inner truth, but part may be a projection needing honest decoding. Thus, the key question isn't, does he love me? But what does this feeling reveal about me? The desire to be seen, welcomed, loved, and understood often hides unresolved lack. When we project that onto someone else, we risk confusing expectation with reality. Jung warns that only by withdrawing projections can we see the other as they truly are. And even more importantly, see ourselves clearly. By recognizing projection, we reclaim the power we gave away. What once seemed external love now becomes a bridge to internal love. This doesn't mean your feelings for the other are false, but that they also carry symbolic layers demanding awareness. Love then transforms. It ceases to be emotional dependence and becomes an experience of expanded being. We often hear he doesn't say it, but he shows it. Indeed, in many cases, love is expressed through looks, gestures, and actions. But the Jungian question is, what are you actually perceiving? Are you seeing real signs or interpreting everything through your desire? The line is thin, so it's crucial to develop emotional discernment, a skill attained only through introspection and honesty. Jung said that every projection, once recognized, can become an opportunity for growth. By observing what we project onto others, we can reclaim exiled parts of ourselves. In this process, we may discover that the love we feel isn't solely for them, but also for who we become by loving them. The other, in this case, becomes a portal. When someone moves our inner world so profoundly, we believe there's something greater between us. It's never just about them. It's about what they awakened within us, vibrating and wanting life. The desire we project can be an invitation to integrate our inner feminine or masculine, to embrace our shadow, to follow the path of individuation. The true response to another's silent love is, therefore, the return to oneself. Love, when unspoken, often reveals itself in small gestures, prolonged silences, barely noticeable hesitations. Jung called shadow all that lies outside consciousness's light. Our fears, traumas, repressed impulses, and unresolved pains. When someone feels love but cannot express it directly, it's likely governed by shadow contents blocking that expression. This doesn't make the feeling any less true, just more hidden, more complex, and thus more symbolic. In the human psyche, the fear of loving is one of the most universal feelings. To love means to expose oneself, to take risks, to relinquish control. Behind silent love may lie the fear of rejection, of losing autonomy, of repeating old wounds. Someone loving you in silence may have loved before and been deeply hurt. Or they may face you as if before a mirror, realizing you awaken emotions they don't know how to handle. Jung reminds us that the more unconscious we are of our shadow, the more it governs our actions. The shadow can manifest as avoidance, distancing, or ambiguous behavior. The restrained gesture, the diverted glance, the attempt to rationalize intense feeling, all are unconscious ways to protect the psyche's vulnerable part. Deep down, there is a wish to love, but also fear. That fear inhabits both the lover and the beloved. The challenge is to recognize what lies behind unspoken words, without feeding illusions, but also without dismissing unconscious evidence. In relationships where there is a deep but undeclared bond, the shadow often creates a psychic tension field. You sense something there, but can't quite grasp it. This contained energy often signals an emotionally charged field, where love is real, but filtered by internal blocks. Jung pointed out that true growth requires confronting the shadow. This applies to love too. True love demands courage to face one's unresolved parts. When we observe someone avoiding us yet showing care, contradicting themselves in gestures, appearing unexpectedly, but then withdrawing when connection is most desired, we witness an archetypal dance between desire and fear. This behavior isn't rational. It is governed by the unconscious's deep layers. Here Jung offers a compass. Understanding shadow dynamics lets us interpret these gestures as expressions of an internal conflict. Sometimes undeclared love aims to protect something very old. The wounded child who learned to stay silent to survive, the teenager rejected for showing up, the adult who fears losing control. These stories shape the shadow and how love is offered or withheld. When someone feels they love you but acts otherwise, it's the living presence of that shadow speaking. For the one receiving this unspoken love, the challenge is twofold. Perceive the subtle signs without projecting expectations, and also accept the pain of not receiving everything you feel. Jung stressed recognizing the other's limits without denying your own feelings. What lies hidden in unspoken gestures can be a key to healing if you are willing to look with clarity. The Jungian path is one of integration. That means acknowledging love can be present even in the absence of words, but also that such love must pass through consciousness to become wholehearted. The shadow can be the obstacle, but also the bridge. When we look at the fear of loving with compassion and courage, we help both the other and ourselves escape the prison of silence and step toward the light of a genuine relationship. For Carl Jung, individuation is the process of becoming who we truly are, integrating all parts of our psyche, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, reason and emotion, inner masculine and feminine. It's a journey of deep self-knowledge that transforms not only how we see ourselves, but also how we relate to others. In the context of love, especially subtle, unspoken love, this process is absolutely essential for distinguishing between a projected fantasy and true love born of the soul. To truly love someone, and to recognize when we are loved, only becomes possible when we stop seeking in the other what we lack in ourselves. As long as we remain incomplete within, we will confuse need with love, idealization with presence, desire with reciprocity. Jung said no one can truly find another until they have found themselves. That is why so many relationships begin intensely and end in frustration, because they are lived by halves seeking completion, not by whole people. When you feel someone loves you, even if words are absent, you must investigate the source of that perception. Sometimes it echoes your own desire. Other times it is a symbolic truth yet to materialize. And at times, it is simply soul recognizing soul. This can only be perceived when the ego no longer leads but the self. The psyche's organizing center that emerges through individuation takes the helm. True love isn't that which merely fills our lacks, but that which mirrors our wholeness. That is why it can emerge silently, without grand declarations, yet with symbolic intensity. A gesture, a look, a repeated coincidence, all can signal a connection beyond the rational plane, but only those aligned with their essence can discern it clearly. Individuation teaches us to recognize love not by what the other does or fails to do, but by what we feel in an integrated way. This means intuition is strengthened, but not divorced from reason. Emotions are lived without becoming absolute. The soul perceives the universe's signs, but the ego doesn't manipulate them to confirm expectations. It is in this harmony of conscious and unconscious that true love reveals itself, even when unspoken. Recognizing true love demands the courage not to cling to illusion. That is one of individuation's hardest fruits, abandoning inner fairy tales to see emotional reality as it is. In doing so, we can tell whether our feelings are reciprocated, albeit silently, or if we're trapped in a repetitive projection pattern. By making this distinction, we free ourselves and the other. The self, Jung's archetype of wholeness, is the convergence point of all opposites. It is also the state of consciousness from which love no longer needs external guarantees. To love then becomes a natural expression of the whole self, not a strategy for emotional survival. As we approach this wholeness, we can endure the other's silence without despair, perceive minimal gestures as meaningful, and remain at peace even without return. Because true love, when it springs from the self, liberates rather than confines. This internal recognition also allows us to act with integrity. If you sense you are loved, even without explicit declarations, and that perception arises from internal balance, you can trust the signs. But if there is constant anguish, suffering, confusion, perhaps it is not love but the psyche calling you back to yourself. Jung said every deep relationship is also a transformation process. Thus, love is not just an emotion to be felt, but a symbolic journey requiring presence, discernment, and surrender. When you stand whole in yourself, the love coming from another stops being a need and becomes a conscious choice. Then, the universe's whispers cease to be riddles and become confirmations. You feel, because you have already met your own love first. What once seemed mere silence revealed an entire universe of meanings. With Jung, we learn true love often manifests subtly, symbolically, and silently. Not because it's weak, but because it's profound. We learn synchronicity can be the unconscious's language. Projection exposes our lacks. The shadow carries the fears we hide, and individuation is the path that leads us to recognizing transformative love. By listening to the universe's signs, you are not losing yourself in illusions. You are deepening your soul's listening. Unspoken love can be true, but it only becomes real when you see it with awareness, courage, and presence. And that journey begins within you. If this content resonated with your experience, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss upcoming videos. And if you feel ready to interpret the universe's signs more clearly, click the video appearing on the screen. It will take you even deeper into your transformation journey. Love is silent, but for those who listen with the soul, it shouts. The universe is speaking to you. Listen.